So look, if you want to grow your wealth, your income, and increase the amount of time off, then these are the shortcuts that can help. Welcome to the Wealth Creation Podcast. Hey everybody, Dan Latto speaking. So, let's talk about this. I touched on it in just my last video about the level of conversation that I get to have these days. So for example, when I generally have conversations on Skype or Facebook Messenger that don't tend to be face-to-face, mostly because I live in a different country, and some of the people that I have these conversations with are also living in different countries as well. But the level of conversation that I want to have these days, it's not about people, it's about ideas, it's about businesses, it's about EBITDA, it's about how much money can you save and where's that money going to go to get the best returns. It's about people who have had successful businesses and what they did to get there. Notice it's not about the people, but it's about what they did. You see, poor people talk about people. Rich people talk about ideas, and that's the level of conversation that I want to be having. And if you want to change your life, you also need to be having a different level of conversation. So as soon as you start talking about someone, well, they did this and they did that, and I don't like the way that they spoke to me, automatically, right there, you know that you're having a conversation that's at the wrong level. And you need to be going, well, they did this and it's because they had this problem. Let me get them on the phone, let me talk about their problem, and let's talk about how we can help them solve that problem, because then you've got a way of thinking about problems and looking at solving people's problems. One of the best things that I ever did was to become a coach and talk about people's problems and talk them through the problems, because for me it's obvious what the solutions are often because we've already overcome them, but also then we're into this solution orientated level of conversation, not the people level of conversation or the problem level of conversation. We want to escalate the level of conversation, so we're talking about solutions, we're talking about systems, we're talking about strategies, we're talking about once this happens then we do this, then we do this next bit. We're talking 3 or 4 levels ahead, like a chess game. Most people are playing checkers or drafts or whatever you want to call it. They're thinking about the next move, and we don't want that. We want to be 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 moves further down the line, and the way that we do that is by having these much higher level of conversations. But again, I see so many people having these much lower level conversations and then wondering why they're not moving forward. And they're 1 step ahead, 2 steps ahead, not 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps ahead. So a 6, 7, 8 step ahead conversation is, okay, I'm going to pay off this debt, then I'm going to do this, then I'm going to earn $2 grand a month, that's 24 grand a year. Then we're going to look at a business that's going to pay another grand a month. Great, and we'll put the 24 grand into that and buy that. Great. Then we're now on to 3 grand a month. Great, so that might be a 2 grand a month business that we can buy. So we buy that for £36,000. So now we're saving the original 2 plus the 1 plus the 2. We're now saving 5 grand a year. That's a £60,000 a year. What can we put that into? And we're talking 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years into the future, 10, 15, 20 years into the future. That's where I want you to be having this level of conversation. Most people's conversations are about what they're going to spend this month's paycheck on in order to look wealthy rather than be wealthy. It's not about, okay, I'm saving £500 a month, can I turn that into £750 a month? That £750 is about £9,000, that's my credit card, I can pay that off. That £750 turns into £800 a month, that's £9,000, 9.5 grand a year. What can I buy into? What assets can I buy to generate more cash flow, to buy more assets to generate more cash flow? Well, I want to go to Disney, or I want to go on holiday to America. Well, let's cancel that for 5 years. What? No, I don't want to do that. I want to go on holiday. You know, these are the levels of conversation, and also as a couple, you and your partner, these are the levels of conversation that you should be having as well, and they should be on board with that. Well, I want to do Disney. Great, do Paris Disney, stay at the local travel lodge, keep it as low as possible. People don't want to do that. Like, we're going to Disney next year, by the way, and we're staying at a very nice Disney hotel, and it's not cheap for 2-3 nights. It's £2.5 grand. It's not cheap, right? But we're using money from our assets to pay for that. And if we were using money from the job and we had credit card debt and car loans and all the rest of it, we shouldn't be having holidays like that. And if we are having holidays like that, we should be going and staying at Travel Lodge. We get the train over, and we do everything on the cheap, right? We eat out, everything's cheap as chips, and that's the point. Most people don't think like that. They just spend the money, and it's money they haven't got. Because if you're in a job and you're spending money on stuff like that, that's money you haven't got. You might have it because you're in a job, but you're either putting it on a credit card or you're exchanging your time for money because you have to go to work to pay this damn thing off. That's not how it should be. Put that money into an asset, let the asset generate enough cash, and that pays that off. That's exactly how it should be. Alright, I hope that's useful for you. We'll catch up with you on the next video. My name's Dan Latto. I will speak to you soon. Take care. Hey, it's Dan here. Thank you for listening. Really appreciate each and every one of you. Please click like or subscribe to the entire podcast.